Oh man, the sounds of nature. So good. So good out here. I don't know why this thought is occurring to me right now, but something I think about a lot. Every step along the way in my path of success, I've been telling people around me what I was doing and like why I was doing it and stuff like that. I mean, I could go all the way down the line. Like when I was homeless and like doing what I needed to do for that. When I was working my way out of that situation, I told all the other homeless people around me what I was doing. When I was working delivery jobs, I told people what I was doing. When I was waiting tables and just started my 3D printing business, I told a lot of the other servers what I was doing. Really, I often think about this stuff. Every step along the way, there were people who were in my exact situation that I was telling them, just in casual conversation, what I was doing and why I was doing it and what I thought it would lead to. And nobody ever listened to me. Like nobody, as far as I can think, nobody ever like took my advice or did the things I was doing, even when those things seemed like they were starting to work. I guess the thing that got me thinking about this, like a lot of people would kind of say like, well, you just got lucky. They could say all sorts of things. You're already thinking of stuff like, well, you got into 3D printing at a good time. It's like, that's kind of true. Anybody who's like successful, you can always boil it down to some way that they got lucky, or that they just happen to know this person, or they just happen to read this book. And like, that's sort of true. I mean, sometimes it's like very true. Like sometimes they have rich parents and that's why they're rich. You know, that's not the kind of thing I would call successful. For me, success is like when you start it from bottom, just the absolute bottom layer, from ground zero, and then like build something, you know. When people say like a success story, I think that's what they're talking about. But anyway, my point is like, that's sort of true, but all the people I knew around me largely had access to the same information and the same resources that I did. So if we're gonna boil it down to circumstances, a lot of people had the same circumstances I did. And if we're gonna boil it down to information, because I was telling people that had my circumstances the information, we all had the same information too. Like I can think of a lot of delivery drivers that I was working with that were either kind of poor or more or less in the same situation that I was. And I would just tell them like, I'm reading this book by Tim Ferriss. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek. It's all about like creating efficient systems and businesses and stuff. So it kind of seems to me there are probably two takeaways from this set of ideas, this basket of ideas. First off, if you're successful, don't let people tell you that you just got lucky, unless you really did. Like if you're Norman Rockefeller, if you're Gloria Vanderbilt or something like that, you know, maybe you did just luck into it a little bit. But that accepted, you know, you probably worked real hard, tried to make really good decisions, and used your resources that you had in the best way you knew how. Secondly, if you are not successful yet, use your freaking resources. I guess we should include the caveat, if you want to be successful. Successful doesn't necessarily just mean money. Obviously, you know, a guy that makes an average living but has like a really great, happy family, healthy relationships and all that kind of stuff, and generally sort of enjoys what he does with his life, that's a successful man. You don't have to be some millionaire or something. But like I said, whatever success looks like for you, use your resources, man. I mean, we've got the internet. I grew up in the 90s, okay? We eventually had internet, but even then it was pretty basic. You can pretty much learn about anything you want. You can also learn how to not waste time on the internet, how to use your time efficiently. You can learn all that stuff, okay? You're watching this and you're probably learning something from it. hopefully. So be that one person in 10, one person in 100, one person in 1,000 that actually uses the resources they have, because nobody does, man. Everybody's just like bumping along. You may feel like you don't have opportunities, but it's really much more that you just don't see the opportunities. You probably have all kinds of opportunities. I knew this guy who was from Ghana and moved here, and he's like the pastor of a pretty big successful church at this point. Seth Amoa Boateng. I'll give Seth Amoa Boateng a shout out. He's not gonna see this, but that dude made it. Like, if you're worried about making it out of the hood, that guy made it out of Ghana. He's a super passionate guy, really knows his stuff, and just learned how to be like charismatic and just really reach people. There's so many stories like that. You just need to think, like, why is that not you? What's really different? It's not that there's some inherent thing a lot of times. Sometimes there is, but a lot of times it's just they're using their resources, they're learning, they're taking their opportunities, and they're not wasting their time like almost everybody does. So just start small, learn as much as you can, and stick with it. Nobody sticks with anything. Everybody's waiting for some perfect opportunity, and like, you're the perfect opportunity. As Henry Ford said, success is missed by most people because he shows up in overalls and looks like work. Pretty sure I butchered that a little bit, but that's basically it. Henry Ford wasn't a great guy, personally. He invented some cool stuff and built a great company and everything, but he's the only American ever mentioned in Mein Kampf, so there's that.